Today, we are strapping in for what is maybe one of the most critical conversations happening right now across professional services. We're talking about the sudden, and I mean aggressive, integration of AI into fields where precision and accountability can literally change a person's life.
Exactly. This isn't about smart speakers anymore.
Not at all. We are looking at these incredibly powerful, publicly available tools, your ChatGPTs, DeepSeek, Google Gemini, and how they're moving into the really high-stakes world of UK immigration law.
It's a huge leap.
It is, and our sources, they're from legal analyses, judicial warnings, and they paint this picture of, well, extraordinary potential for efficiency on one hand, but they also sound an alarm, a really loud one.
Oh.
Okay, let's unpack this. Is AI an efficient partner here, or is it a direct threat when someone's entire future is on the line?
That tension is the perfect place to start because you need to understand just how serious this is. UK immigration law is, well, it's famously complex. It's an ever-shifting landscape, and every single decision hinges on very specific individual circumstances. The paperwork alone is immense.
Right.
So our sources, they state this definitively. Relying on AI alone for visa advice carries, and this is a quote, significant risks.
So what's the core issue?
The issue is that automation, at least how it is now, it just can't interpret legal rules with any kind of nuance. It can't provide that tailored strategic advice that a human lawyer can.
And the stakes are just so high. A spouse visa, an asylum claim.
The cost of one small error is potentially catastrophic.
So our deep dive mission today is to cut through all that noise. We're going to extract the essential warnings about AI's limitations, both technical and legal, and we're going to focus specifically on the immediate threat of misinformation, these fabricated citations, and the absolute need for human accountability, especially in something like a UK spouse visa application.
Let's get into it.
All right, so when we say AI is assisting legal work, what are we actually talking about?
We're talking about systems that are designed to do things that normally require human intelligence. So, analyzing huge amounts of data, drafting documents, spotting patterns, that sort of thing.
And we should acknowledge there is a utility there. I mean, if you have to review 500 pages of legal documents, AI can probably help.
Oh, absolutely. The efficiency benefit is why this is all happening so fast. These tools can analyze case law, they can flag missing information in a draft, and they can generally speed up the workflow for a human lawyer.
But, and this is the big but speed, means absolutely nothing if the information is fundamentally wrong.
Exactly.
And this is where we get to that infamous term that's at the heart of this whole controversy, hallucination.
Right. What's fascinating here is that we often just define hallucination as output that seems, plausible, but is factually incorrect.
But there's more to it.
There is. We need to understand why it happens. These models, these LLMs, they're built to predict the next most probable word in a sequence. They're not built for factual retrieval. They don't know things.
So they're synthesizers. They're designed to sound authoritative.
Precisely. So when an LLM can't find a direct, verifiable answer, like a specific case law that fits the prompt, it doesn't just say, I don't know.
It makes one up.
It generates a highly plausible sounding, but entirely fictitious source. It's a technical flaw it's inherent to their design.
And that flaw is uniquely dangerous in law. In immigration, this means an AI could misinterpret a rule, or worse, completely omit a critical update from the Home Office that just came out last week.
Or, as we're about to see, it can literally invent case citations out of whole cloth.
So for you, the listener, who might be thinking about using one of these tools for what seems like a simple application, that professional-looking draft it spits out could have a ticking time bomb of inaccuracy embedded right inside it.
It's a huge risk. And to connect that risk to, undeniable reality, we have to look at what's happening in UK courts right now.
This isn't theoretical anymore.
Not at all.
Yes.
Our sources point to a Guardian article reporting that the High Court has already had to tell UK lawyers to stop misusing AI.
Stop misusing it. Why?
Because they were presenting fabricated case law citations in official court submissions.
Wow.
And this warning, it's coming from the very top. Victoria Sharp, who is the president of the King's Bench Division.
A very senior judge.
One of the most senior. She warned publicly that these AI tools can produce, and I'm quoting her here, coherent and plausible responses that may turn out to be entirely incorrect. She specifically said they may cite sources that do not exist.
Wait, if the King's Bench Division is issuing that kind of warning, it means they're seeing this happen more than once. This is a pattern.
It is.
And if experienced regulated lawyers are falling for this, what hope does a regular person have?
That's the question.
This brings us to that chilling case example our sources mentioned, MS Bangladesh v. Secretary of State for the Home Department.
Yes.
So this case, it involved an asylum appeal, and the barrister used AI to help generate parts of the legal submission.
Right. And the critical failure.
Was that several of the legal authorities cited in the document, including one they called Why China, 2010 EWCA Civ 116, they just didn't exist.
They were, quote, entirely fictitious or wholly irrelevant. Just made up.
Unbelievable. So what did the court do?
Well, the upper tribunal, which handles these complex appeals, they obviously came down hard on the barrister for not verifying the information.
I would hope so.
Their judgment said that if those fictitious authorities had been relied on without being checked, it could have led to serious consequences for the client. The integrity of the whole judicial process was at risk.
From a computer program that just invented a fact.
A plausible founding fact.
This just seems to blow up the whole argument for efficiency, doesn't it? The time saved created this massive ethical and procedural mess. Is that time really worth the existential risk to your client's case?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the answer is a resounding no. This case underscores 2 points that are just non-negotiable in law. First, AI cannot be your sole source of advice. You simply can't trust it. And second, the human lawyer still has complete unmitigated accountability.
You can't outsource your duty to check your facts to a chatbot.
Exactly. An experienced barrister can't do it, and neither can anyone else.
Okay, so let's pivot from these big judicial warnings to the actual application itself. The paperwork.
Right.
Immigration applications are so intensive. They rely so heavily on your personal history, on all this messy documentation. And here's where it gets really interesting. Our sources specifically use the example of the UK spouse visa.
A very common but very complex application.
So why is the spouse visa so vulnerable to AI errors?
Because it's not just about filling in forms. It requires this intense credibility assessment. An application can be refused if documents are inconsistent, if the financial rules aren't met exactly, or if the relationship isn't considered genuine and subsisting.
All things that require human judgment?
All things that require human judgment. Let's just take the financial requirement. It's incredibly complex.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
A human lawyer knows the difference between, say, Category A income and Category B income. They know which specific pay slips, which bank statements, which employer letters have to align perfectly with which category.
In an AI.
An AI might draft something that looks plausible, but it cannot assess the credibility of the evidence. It can't spot a subtle inconsistency, like a date on a payslip that overlaps with a previous job, that a human would immediately see as a red flag, a refusal trigger.
So it's that deep structural knowledge of how the Home Office actually thinks. And you mentioned earlier that the law is always changing. How does that specifically derail an AI?
This is a huge, huge issue. Immigration law changes constantly, not just big new laws, but continuous little updates, Home Office policy memos, guidance circulars.
Things that would never be in the AI's public training data.
Exactly. An AI model trained 6 months ago could be giving you advice based on outdated financial thresholds or a policy on cohabitation evidence that was superseded last month.
So the AI has a technical flaw, the hallucination, and a practical flaw. It just can't keep up with the moving goalposts of the UK Home Office.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And that leads to the final human element, which is document verification.
Checking everything.
Everything. A human lawyer is crucial for making sure all the evidence is accurate, consistent, and complies with every single tiny sub-requirement.
Yeah.
They prevent those errors an AI might introduce because the AI doesn't understand the catastrophic consequence of missing one single document in a stack of 50.
And the ultimate risk is clear. A minor error from an AI, an outdated rule, a misunderstood document, it can mean an instant visa refusal, long delays, and maybe years of separation from your family. Efficiency becomes a false economy.
And that brings us right back to the foundational difference between a human and a machine.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Yeah.
There are regulations like GDPR that govern how AI handles your personal data, but those laws give you zero protection against it, giving you plain wrong legal advice. This lack of professional accountability is the single biggest risk. The critical point here is that you cannot sue an AI. You can't disbar it. It can't be held legally or financially responsible for errors that ruin a person's life.
Whereas a regulated solicitor...
A regulated solicitor is required to have professional insurance. They have to adhere to ethical standards. And most importantly, they are legally accountable for the advice they give.
That accountability is what gives the client protection and, frankly, peace of mind, something a chatbot can never, ever replicate.
Never.
So let's just review the skills that a human provides that AI just can't. You've got assessing evidence, credibility, judging trustworthiness,
You have understanding legal nuance, interpreting complex rules.
and strategic decision making, advising on backup plans or mitigating risks when things look shaky.
Our sources are completely unified on this. Human oversight is essential. It's required for accuracy, for compliance, for ethical oversight through the whole process.
So AI is a tool, a drafting tool, maybe a research tool, nothing more.
Nothing more. It cannot replace a qualified human lawyer who has to review every single detail, verify every document, and provide that personalized strategic advice. The risk of substituting that judgment is it's far too high.
So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive looking at the lure of efficiency in legal work, but we've landed squarely on the non-negotiable need for human judgment and accountability.
Hmm.
In a high-stakes field like UK immigration, where the integrity of an application relies on preventing entirely fictitious submissions, human expertise isn't just mandatory. It's the only guarantee against failure.
Absolutely. For anyone listening who is navigating this system, the choice isn't between speed and slowness. It's a decision between professional accountability on one side and a potentially catastrophic refusal based on a machine-generated lie on the other.
The cost of a hallucinated citation is just infinitely higher than the cost of a verified, human-drafted submission. That need for human oversight is why a firm like Mulgrave Law has a strict human-first policy.
So they're making a conscious choice to say that every piece of advice, every document check, every bit of strategy is handled by a qualified human lawyer.
Precisely. It's not just about drafting. Think about a spouse visa. That application requires meticulous evidence verification.
Checking bank statements, pay slips, making sure every single thing lines up with those very specific home office rules.
Yes. An algorithm just can't do that kind of subjective check. It can't assess things like suitability or good character from a pile of documents.
And what about personalization? No two cases are ever the same, are they?
Never. You might have a previous refusal or complex finances or family ties. An AI can't strategize around that. Only a human lawyer can really tailor the advice to maximize your chances.
That human layer just seems irreplaceable. When a refusal could mean delays of, months, years.
Or just an outright no. That peace of mind, knowing an expert is accountable for the work, that's what matters.
Which brings us to a really practical step for anyone listening. If you are navigating this, that expertise is actually very accessible. Mulgrave Law offers a free 30-minute consultation.
And that's a perfect chance to get real personalized advice, a human-verified strategy from a regulated professional, so you can avoid all these pitfalls of automated systems.
You can book that free 30-minute consultation right now. Just call them on 0207-253-7248.
Or you can email info@mulgravelaw.co.uk or just use the contact form on their website.
So please, don't risk such a critical application on a machine that might just invent the facts.
So I suppose the takeaway here is pretty clear. Technology is a great assistant, for sure, but human judgment, ethical oversight, and real accountability, they're simply non-negotiable for something this important.
And we'll leave you with a final thought to mull over. If AI can fabricate case law and ruin a person's credibility in court, what other complex areas of your life, maybe from financial planning to a medical diagnosis, should you absolutely insist on getting regulated human professional judgment over the simple promise of automated efficiency? Something to think about.